Frederic Vasseur was clear last summer when commenting on Ferrari's recruitment campaign, a recruitment that would make noise, aimed at strengthening the team after a disappointing start to the season. 12 months later, despite a different, better but not yet ideal situation, the promises made by the Frenchman have been fulfilled, as Fred announced the signing of Lewis Hamilton, the contract renewal of Charles Leclerc, and the completion of the technical staff enhancements. Loic, Serra and Jerome D'Ambrosio are now active at Maranello, the former as technical director and the latter as deputy team principal. The management and organizational structure of Ferrari took shape on October 1st, according to the plan built by Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur, who, despite choosing French-speaking figures to work alongside him, bets on the continuity of the work being done by the group of Italians. The entry of the two new key figures was very soft, without much fanfare, following the understated style set by Frederic Vasseur himself, who prefers the approach of a low profile and avoids excessive limelight. The Ferrari racing department is busy finalizing the solutions that will make up the aerodynamic upgrade package for the United States Grand Prix, following positive indications that have emerged from simulation data. At the 5.513-kilometer Circuit of the Americas in Austin, we will not only see the more flexible front wing flap, but there will also be other interventions aimed at improving the balance of the SF24 single-seater. Ferrari is going through a strategic moment for defining its future. The Maranello team is confident it can aim to catch Red Bull for second place in the Constructors' Championship and hopes to exploit the latest updates to make progress just enough to be McLaren's primary challenger in the last quarter of a very spectacular and competitive Formula One season. The Maranello technicians and engineers are completing the development of Project 677, the car for the 2025 Formula One campaign, which will be the final year of ground effect cars. For Ferrari, there is the clear ambition to close the regulatory cycle that began in 2022 with high aims, despite the fact that Ferrari is aware the Woking-based team has gained an advantage during the current season, which will most likely be kept in the start of the upcoming championship. However, the 2025 Ferrari car will not be a derivative of the SF24, but will represent a clean break, with the driver moved further back in the cockpit and a pull-rod front suspension following the trends of McLaren and Red Bull. The gearbox casing will also be shorter due to the redesigned chassis by Fabio Montecchi's working group. Loic Serra's focus, therefore, beyond supervising Project 677, as the wind tunnel work is in full development, while the mechanics are already well advanced, will shift to the preparations for the new generation of single-seaters, which will be introduced in the 2026 Formula One campaign. The Frenchman will not make changes to the newly defined structure, but the technical staff at Ferrari will need to be strengthened in some strategic aspects of the new project. With the power unit generating 50% of its power from the hybrid system and 50% from the internal combustion engine, it will be extremely important to implement research areas with ultra-specialized figures. The technical regulations for agile cars leave significant room for research in the fields of batteries and fuels. So far, Ferrari has relied on capable and reliable partners, but now it is necessary to introduce new figures who can guide the suppliers according to the emerging project needs. Shell is the petroleum company studying the fully sustainable biofuel that does not use fossil sources in its production. Formula One is opening an innovative path that could extend the life of combustion engines, offering an alternative to full electric mobility. The 2026 regulations allow the use of biofuel and e-fuel. Shell, unlike Aramco, which is focusing on the latter solution, is investing in the former. Making the right choice given the rejection of the proposal to use a single fuel will become very important because the right fuel could create a significant performance difference. The role of the chemist, therefore, becomes key in leading this delicate process from Maranello. The same applies to batteries. It is possible that the freedom of action granted by the FIA regulations will allow an evolution of the systems, which is currently governed by the Chinese, that could be very useful not only for racing, but also for the broader mass production market. Before the 2025 Formula One season begins, several specialists will join Loic Serra's technical staff and will have the very important task of finding solutions in an innovative field, enhancing research value to achieve competitiveness. These roles and figures will find their place in the Scuderia's lineup, strengthening a group that today might not have all the answers to the new challenges. Therefore, the Frenchman's work will be related to defining some details of the 2025 car, which will be very different from the SF24, and particularly the 2026 car, the year in which Ferrari aims to start a new cycle by taking advantage of regulatory changes. As mentioned, Loic Serra will need to focus more on the future than the present, without making changes to the technical staff of the Scuderia, but rather evaluating, as technical director of course, strategic enhancements aimed at making a difference in key areas of the 2026 cars. These enhancements will not only involve ideas and structures, but also people. At the same time, it is worth pointing out how Ferrari intends to take advantage of the recent events that are taking place at Renault. The news about the closure of the engine department in Viry-Châtillon has been a highly discussed topic in the F1 paddock for some time. Flavio Briatore's arrival aimed to significantly change the cards on the table for Alpine, which will become a customer team of Mercedes starting in 2026. However, Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur has not been idle and appears to have begun a shopping campaign from Alpine's engine department to bolster Ferrari's. Rumors about switching to a new engine supplier have been circulating for several months. Since the Austrian Grand Prix, speculation about a possible new engine supplier for the French team has intensified. From that moment on, rumors continued about potential power unit suppliers starting in 2026. Ferrari and Mercedes were the front-runners to replace the Alpine engine starting in 2026, when the new power unit will come into play. This is a monumental regulatory change, with a fair distribution of power between thermal and electric. A significant challenge for the French team, which probably felt it couldn't invest in the new regulations. This decision stemmed from poor results during the initial phase of turbo-hybrid engines, which have been in effect since 2014. The story of the engine department in Viry-Châtillon came to an end on September 30, 2024, when the official announcement of its closure was made. Despite the significant concerns of the personnel assigned to the F1 department, there could be a new twist in terms of employment. Indeed, according to some rumors that have emerged in recent hours, Frederic Vasseur seems determined to bring in some Alpine personnel to join the power unit team. The names of these new additions have not yet been revealed, but a meeting dating back to the Austrian GP could be quite telling. On that occasion, journalists managed to spot Enrico Gualtieri, power unit technical director, along with Eric Mignon, also a power unit technical director at Alpine. At that time, it seemed like a conversation aimed at transitioning Alpine to Ferrari's engine, but now it takes on a different connotation. Eric Mignon could thus be returning to Maranello, having left the Scuderia in October 2023. Frederic Vasseur's intention to shop at Alpine will not be limited to just one figure, but will likely extend to other key personnel who will join Enrico Gualtieri in the power unit department. Should these additions be confirmed, they could arrive at Maranello without facing a gardening leave. Luca De Meo himself recently commented on this, stating he will not create problems for his team members given the difficult circumstances they are facing in Alpine.